Well, that was an awesome interview Dr. Tim did with Laura McCowan. And we're waiting on Michael to get dialed in. And then we will continue. I see area code 602 has their hand up already, so I'm going to go ahead and turn you on, and Michael should be in by the time that you get through introducing yourself. Who do we have?
Hi, Jeanie. It's Cecilia.
Oh, hey, lady. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
I was just reading your amazing notes on my worksheet that you helped me out with. So I had a question about them. I just had a question. I don't know if I have to wait for Michael, but I have a question about it.
No. If it's something I can answer, I'll be glad to.
Yeah. Okay. So when it says that we let go of a goal to cancel the goal, I don't have the worksheet in front of me. You got to help me out with. But the part that says and restore myself and the object of my attention to truth. Okay. I don't know where that is in the worksheet. But anyway. Go ahead, baby.
Go ahead. I'm pulling a worksheet out while you're talking, so go ahead.
Okay. So the question is, yes. I thought at first it meant that the truth that my dad is perfect, whole, and complete in reality, in actuality. So am I. And then I thought, wait a minute here. Does it also mean that I'm saying?
You just disappeared. Does it also mean?
Oh, does it also mean that I'm speaking the truth about the actual things that happened? Does it have two meanings to it? So,
okay.
Do you understand?
Michael is on with us now, so she's asking about a part of the worksheet,
right?
Where it talks about choosing truth. Are you talking about the part that says, I choose to love truth and willingly face and process out the disease-producing energies?
Well, I don't know if it's on another one, but I'm pretty sure I could run and get it. The only thing, I don't want to take the time to do that. It says in my words that in order to cancel this false reality.
You just disappeared again, Cecilia. In order to cancel my false reality, and then you cut off.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I cancel. Let's see, and to restore myself.
You keep cutting out. I did pull out one of the worksheets, and in step 5 it says, in order to collapse my false reality and be liberated from my hostility, fear, and get back to my actual mind and the truth about me and my object of attention.
Yes.
I cancel my goal for, and then it's like the one we did was for your father to be respectful and honor you. So, Michael, does that statement have two meanings?
Does it mean that I'm restoring myself and my object of attention to our original condition? Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the idea. You have an experience that happened that involved things that were out of harmony with human life. And you've got a perceptual construct based in pain that your mind is still serving up to about that event. The object of this step in the worksheet is to restore my awareness of myself as love to my mind. And as I do that, what will happen is I'll begin to dissolve the underlying pain of that old experience that tends to create the same circumstances over and over and over again. As I do that, and I'm restored to the truth of who I am now going to restore the presence of love to the object of my attention, in this case, your dad. So I'm going to hold to the truth of who I am. Whatever Dad's doing, this isn't about Dad. This is about you being restored to the truth of who you are. whatever Dad's doing, so that you can think, speak, or if he were still alive, confront him and still stand connected to the presence of love. It doesn't have anything to do except it is a step that creates the dissolution of the unresolved pain. Because when we have an event that happens and we take on pain and then we hide that pain from ourselves, that pain is carried forward in every instant of our lives. When I can bring it to awareness in the presence of love, that old painful energy that's carried begins to dissolve. And that's the forgiveness piece. That is forgiveness. And so I'm removing the pain that has kept me from experiencing who I am. And I can stand in a space of love with Dad. Whether Dad changes or not is irrelevant. It's not about him.
So when I
it's about you.
Okay, it's not about him at all.
Right. Now, if he were still alive and it were time to confront him, then standing as a space of love, you might go to him and confront him and hold him accountable for his behavior. But you'll do it out of love rather than from unresolved pain, which means that you will get to heal on still deeper levels. And since he's in your genetic history, you know, what was born in your genes came from his genes, and what was born in his genes came from his predecessors. So you start to open the healing of the whole bloodline forward and backward.
So on this one...
Your voice cut out.
Videos call. Okay,
so
I'm going to get rid of this phone. Okay, can you hear me?
You're loud and clear.
In that one bio, that video for $20, that MP4 with Bruce.
Mind Body Bioenergetics?
Okay, yeah. In it, you talk about people in prison or something, and we want to punish them, and that just makes the energy strong.
Right.
So I understood all of this plus my worksheet, that I don't punish my dad. I don't have punishing thoughts. I don't have shame, anything that he did, perpetuating that to stay alive.
Here's my offering. That as you clean out the pain, trauma, shame in you, then you're free of that energetic influence throughout your life. Now, that might, holding him accountable, and, let's take a separate example. Let's say that we're downtown and shopping and somebody commits a criminal act that impacts us. And I'm in pain about, that pain comes up in that. I'm going to forgive as to that criminal and that criminal act, and I'm going to be freed of that pain. And then I may walk over to the payphone and call the police and report the criminal activity and hold the criminal accountable and go to court and testify against that criminal. But I'm not doing it out of fear, rage, hurt, or pain. I'm doing it because I'm here to hold that person accountable for their behavior.
Okay.
It isn't about punishment. It isn't about vengeance. I had a mentor that was a Superior Court judge. Actually, he's the man who initiated and asked us to create laws of living, one of the courses, intensives that we do. And this man he was a Superior Court judge in Albany, Georgia. He used to be the head of the whole prison system for the state of Georgia. And he sat on the bench, and he put thousands of people in prison, but he never punished one of them. And in fact, he asked us to create laws of living as a way to offer healing to these folks. So he held them accountable. And what he would say is, and I hold these types of thoughts whenever I'm confronted with something as well. He would say to this person, cherish you like a brother, but you're not safe in the community, and the community's taken up a collection and built a building with bars around it. And anybody who's not safe in the community, because I cherish my community, they ask me to do the job of seeing who's safe and who isn't and putting the people behind bars who need to be put behind bars. Guess where you're going? You're going behind bars. but I'm not punishing you. And by the way, if you'd like, I'll even sentence you to laws of living so that you can heal your mind and heal while you're in prison rather than the punishment game that we play. So if I have a punishment thought toward that criminal, that's my work. I need to do some forgiveness work, and it's probably from a time when I was punished. And as I free myself from that, it's simple accountability.
Okay. So,
does that make sense?
Yes, I have had a tendency, like I told you when I first shared this story about my dad molesting me, is that I had just put my pictures back up on my mantle that I haven't ever had their pictures on my mantle.
Right.
And so I was like, I just forgave them immediately, but I don't know if that was really true forgiveness if I didn't forgive.
Well, here would be my input. When you forgave the pain and trauma that you held from those experiences, then you were able to pardon him for what he did.
I don't think I
then
did,
you were able
actually.
To say, well, I would say that it was probably an automatic, once you were able to relieve yourself of the pain that you held, then you didn't look at that picture and see and feel and experience that pain because you had forgiven that pain. It isn't about forgiving him. And so, you could approach and look at him or look at Mom or anyone else and hold to the space of love and compassion and maybe even a blessing toward him. I mean, this Superior Court judge, he would bless he was a Catholic man in his 70s at the time I worked with him, and he mentored me, and he would send these, heinous crimes. I mean, this is South Georgia, heavy-duty community in South Georgia, and he would send them to prison with a blessing.
Yes. Because
he'd done his work of relieving himself of his pain.
I see.
And, you'll remember that line in the worksheet that says, when I choose love, it wakes up the love in everyone. And as you can stand in that space of active love, it's like you're a middle C tuning fork and you're vibrating. And the middle C tuning fork and everybody around you, the presence of love and everybody around you starts to move as well, even the person who perpetrates the kind of behavior you're talking about.
Yeah, he went to his grave. Nobody confronted him about it. I mean, nobody. I don't think the word confronted is the point, but, nobody did any healing work around it, not even me. So
now you are.
Yeah. Now the other thing on the worksheet that, Jeanie, I just read the notes, is that I bought into the I'm a slut, I'm a whore, I'm a prostitute that my mother continually badgered into me my whole childhood. And I became one. Okay? But I obviously didn't get paid, okay? So because I had no worth. Meaning I bought into it, I feel guilty when I see the word I bought into it. So
you bought thought disorders your mother fed to you.
Well, I don't know if I bought it. I didn't have any money to go out and buy it. When I say bought it, I mean kind of ran my conscious mind, and I wasn't aware that it was something subconscious. Just going to get clear on that.
So what I'm saying is, as your mother, in her inability to confront Father, probably knowing what was going on, but in probably terror, and well, there's a good scapegoat, and it's you, fed you several thought disorders, that she probably held about herself that were probably fed to her as a young girl, and she just passed them on to you, and you bought it. You took on those thought disorders. So now your work is to forgive each of those thought disorders and all of the trauma that you carry around, having believed those things about yourself and having carried out behaviors that, were not in your highest and best interest.
No, not at all. No one would know me that way.
Wipe the slate clean.
Yes, and doing a worksheet on every time something less than love about me comes up around that. Is that
perfect? That's it exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Until you've cleaned the slate of all of those thought disorders, and in doing that,
so then I won't have.
When you
okay, go ahead. In doing that,
well, remembering that you're a creator, If I choose to create something, let's say I say, oh, I want to create this wonderful thing in my life, but in my brain's file, so to speak, on me, is I only get trauma, I'm going to source that beautiful thing, and I'm going to turn it into trauma because it's going to flow through that hidden unconscious part of my mind. And remember, that's where the power is. As I forgive and remove that, then I can create that. I'm going to create something wonderful in my life, and because there's nothing left in me, everything in me that would taint that new creation with negativity is gone. So now I get to engage in the immaculate conception. I conceive of something in the purity of, yes, I'm going to create this wonderful thing, and there's nothing left in me to taint that, and so I conceive of that and I create that in my life. If I move in that direction and something less than that shows up, then that which is less than that becomes the impetus for my next piece of work. You know, they said to Yeshua 2,000 years ago, how do you tell where somebody's at? He says, look at their fruit. Look at the results they're producing. So you can tell what is in your unconscious by the results you're producing. So if you find yourself wanting to create something wondrous in your life and something a little less than wondrous shows up, there's the next piece of forgiveness work for you to do. And as you do, then you can literally conceive, bring forward a creative thought without taint, immaculately, and you'll produce that result. It's just what will show up in your life.
That's beautiful. I would love to have an immaculate conception. Immaculate conception of the real me. Anyway, so I had a hard time. There's a part of me that has a hard time with the worksheet that I did with Jeanie, that because I think there's a part of me that doesn't want to talk about it. Is that did I need as a child, the end goal was in the worksheet is that I honor and respect myself and make me feel safe instead of my father? Is that
would be another aspect of your work around cleaning this whole issue up. Yes.
Okay, but as a child I couldn't think that. I mean, I couldn't think that. I mean, was it possible that I could have thought that then?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It is quite possible. It is quite possible from being that you knew what you deserved. And,
really?
And as you, yes, it's natural to each of us. It's like it comes in the package. And then, we come in as the presence of active love, and then life slaps it out of us and tells us to go find somebody to love us. And the original wisdom and intelligence becomes buried. And what you're uncovering as you do your work is your original wisdom, the blessing that you were originally and still are today. It's uncovering that and bringing that to fruition. So, yes, you may come across that worksheet and imagine yourself as a child and go back and cancel the goal to be treated lovingly, gently, and with respect, and clear out another layer of the trauma that you took on.
Yes. Interestingly, my whole life I, quote-unquote, loved them. Okay, I knew what was going on, but I just loved them, quote-unquote. Okay, so that was what you call the word would be not forgiveness, but it was pseudo-forgiveness. Spiritual bypassing would be the word. That's how I understood forgiveness to be, a spiritual bypassing. Okay, that meant that I didn't have to feel, didn't have to deal with whatever was creating. Okay, thanks. I'm just trying to get clarity because this is deeper stuff than I've ever run into in my entire life. And the other thing
I got
to be clear about,
and I acknowledge you for the clarity you're getting. You're doing awesomely well at it.
Thanks. And Jeanie said, while I was having her helping me with the worksheet, she said, "Now you really spent some time here on the story. Let's done. Let's walk on water, which really is an awesome thing to say. And don't focus on the story so much. And I'm not trying to put words in her mouth, but so when I just read the notes on the session, it said end of my story in bold, 45 minutes, and I'm like, oh my God, should I never talk like that again? I mean, should is a shame word. Is that unusual to talk that? I mean, will my storytelling go down? What happens?
Well, once each time you forgive, what happens is it's kind of like you shave off a layer of energy from the brain cells that are prompting whatever it is you're speaking, in this case, your story. So as you do the work around it, and there's no unusual energy left in those brain cells, your story will be there. You'll know your story. You'll remember your story was there. But there's no impetus. There's no reason to tell it. Like, why would I go there? I could go and energize all of that and set up more resonance for the same. Or I can just remember, I can remember a time, boy, I just had. And there is a stage that people go through where it's like, I just got to get this out. I just got to tell my story. Of course, forgiveness.
Well, I shame myself when I do that. I shame myself. I go on forever, but I shame myself.
Yeah, so I'd support you letting go of that need to shame yourself because you never deserved it.
Yeah. Oh, okay,
it
thanks.
Isn't yours. It's not about you. It's just what you were taught.
Oh, yeah.
That old. You've probably heard that old poem. Children learn when they live, and when children learn to live with shame, then they shame themselves. When they live with condemnation, they condemn themselves, and they do that to others. And we learn to forgive those things. Then they're just. They're there. It's not that we lose the brain cells. It's just no impetus. It's like no need to. Now, it might be that you're talking to somebody, 2 weeks or 10 years from now that's had a similar experience. And you've got the brain cells for how to heal that. And you might tell your story. I said, boy, I can identify. I was there. Let me tell you. Here's where it went for. And you might share that, but you won't be sharing it out of this driving need. You'll be sharing it to be of service to this person so that they can hear how their story doesn't define them and that they can free themselves of it. So you'll teach out of your story in a way that helps people to let go of their story and realize
I need
the
a lot
falsity.
of worksheets before that, right?
Well, welcome to the club. Been doing this for 40 plus years.
Yeah.
So.
No, I'm happy.
And I don't proclaim to be finished.
No, okay.
Doing a whole lot better than I did before, but I don't proclaim to be finished. It is a lifetime. Literally, you're taking on all the generations of your bloodline, and when you start realizing, in just 4 generations, there are 31 lives. In 30 generations, in your bloodline and mine, there are over 1.6 billion people. Now think about the trauma and the drama that you've been through and that you've seen just in your close family members, and then take that out to recognize that ultimately what you're addressing is the repeating patterns of the trauma of 1.6 billion people.
That's a little overwhelming.
Yeah, it is. I understand. But that's what you're really doing. What we're inviting people to do with this work is develop the skill and the ability to reach inside to the deepest, darkest hidden parts of their own mind energy system, bring that energy forward, develop the skill of bringing that energy forward consciously in the presence of love and letting it dissolve, being freed of it.
Yes.
And it's, it's not something that happens overnight. It's a process, and it's a lifetime process. It's a lifetime of work.
So I think that I'm speeding it up right now, by, I know Lipton has a different philosophy, not forgiveness. At least I'm telling you what I understood you say, that he wants to think that it's gone in 10 osmosis. And so I believe you're 100% right, and yet there's a part of me that's like, why can't I combine listening to meditations at night that are like get to the alpha part of the brain? I don't know if there's actually an alpha part, but anyway, And then I listen to these things say, and your voice is getting stronger every day, and you're healing. And I liked it because it said I'm healing, because that goes with the worksheet. So right now at this point in the last couple of days, I've been combining the when I'm falling asleep listening to this stuff, and then I'm also doing the worksheets. So I want your take on that.
Go for it. Go for it and see how it works for you. Here's the thing. Jeanie has a story, way she likes to express it, and that is, we've got a garbage can over here, and it's filled with old food scraps and junk and babies' diapers and all of that. And what we want to do is be positive thinkers. And so what we're going to do is we're going to get a really nice smelling perfume, and we're going to spray over the garbage can once a day. And after a few days, you got to spray it twice a day. Another day or two, you got to spray it 3, 4, 5, 10, 20 times a day, trying to keep the stench down. Sooner or later, you got to take out the garbage. The ancients said transcend. They weren't saying fly off in space somewhere. They were saying put an end to the state of trance. The idea is to get out of hypnosis. Not to enter into hypnosis so that you can successfully hide from yourself what you don't want to deal with and pretend and be able to generate perceptual constructs that pretend everything is well. You want to take out the garbage. And most people don't want to take out the garbage.
Okay. So can I get clear on this for myself? Is that's just putting perfume on the garbage by listening to those whatever meditations that you fall asleep to? Suggestion.
I mean, there's a section in my book where I talk about the disease of premature positive thinking in my offering, and it's just my take. Others have different opinions, and so each one has to make their own choices.
I agree with it. It never works for me. I had a sponsor in adult children of alcoholics that used to always say affirmations, and I told her after 5 years, I'm sorry, that doesn't work.
Yeah. We shifted years ago. We shifted out of doing affirmations with people, or even suggesting affirmations. Affirmations can be destructive. If I have an issue, let's say I have an issue about money, and poverty always comes to me easily, and somebody says, well, why don't you just do this affirmation? I have all the money I need. I have all the money I need. And I say that a million times. Well, I just put perfume on the garbage, but the deepest levels of my unconscious or my heart is where the power lies. So when the stress is up and the chips are down, I'm going to default back to what I haven't yet dealt with, and that is the part of my mind that holds poverty. So I call it premature positive thinking. What we do is we suggest that people take their affirmations and turn them into mind shifters. So you take the same thought, like I have a mind shifter I give people about money. And what you do is you take a piece of paper, you divide it in two, and on the left-hand side of the page you write, I have all the time, wisdom, money, and energy I need to accomplish all of my aspirations. And then on the right-hand side of the page, because that thought is a frequency, I use that as a catalyst to surface any unbelief. So what's the average person say if I say to them, you have all the time, intelligence, money, and energy you need to accomplish all your aspirations? The average person is going to say, BS, who are you trying to kid? I was always told when I was a kid that I was stupid. I'll never be smart enough to do that. Oh, okay. So there's your next worksheet, is cleaning up the thought disorder about stupid.
Oh, I see.
So then write the mind shifter again. I have all the time, money, energy, wisdom, and love I need to accomplish all my aspirations. Well, what do you mean? I work 18 hours a day. I work 6 days a week. I don't have enough time for anything. Okay? So there's the next piece. So you keep writing that mind shifter. Do a brain dump of all the garbage in the garbage can, and then go back and look at, you've dumped out all that unconscious information. Now go back and look at what work do I need to do to clean out that part of my garbage can and work through it, rather than just layering a pretense upon pretense, where you can force something to happen with hypnosis. You can force something to look good with hypnosis. But when the stress is up and the chips are down, it's going to fall apart. because it's the deepest parts of the mind that rule how the creation works.
So that
so
other
you want to
side
create
of the
a space
page,
to access.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay. No, I did this with my neighbor who put his hands on my waist. I did a mind shifters, and I really literally took what you said is sit there for 4 hours and do it.
Yep.
So my question is to do a mind shifters, is it important to sit there and let it dump for 4 hours straight?
Well, I suggested that particularly because it was such an intense issue that was really in your face at that point. Like when we're going to do a mind shifters and still point breathing exercise, we usually give people about an hour to an hour and a half to write. But you were in a major issue, and so I suggested you dedicate a little more time than we might otherwise do.
I see. Okay, I heard you say you give with the breathing exercises and all that. So I did see the video. I mean, I didn't see the video. I'm wondering if it would help me to have that video or whatever they are now, that CD of mind shifters and breath point.
Still point breathing.
Whatever. Yeah.
Okay. Well, the mind shifters and still point breathing, the still point breathing part is something that I only teach in person. So in that video, I give the instructions for the mind shifter, but I don't give the instructions for the still point breathing except in a live session. So there's an introduction on that video, but it's not going to explain how to do the still point breathing. And the reason for that is because it's a powerful tool and a powerful process. And we're just going to set somebody off on their own to dig into something like that and not have the support or the skills to move through it.
I see.
So I only.
But then it's important I breathe in when I do it.
Yeah, important. Well, notice on the worksheet how many times we've got the reminder to breathe.
Yes.
All the places where people tend to hold their breath, we want to inspire the breath to move.
Okay. Okay, I hope that there's time for somebody else. I feel like I've got some work to do.
Well, we're here to hold the space, young lady, and
all right. Well, you guys are. I won't say. I'll say I acknowledge myself for doing the work, because I'll just say that.
Nice.
Thank you for having the work for me to thank you for having the work for me to do. It's that I acknowledge I do.
Delighted to be here to support you. All right.
Thank you.
We'll look forward to the next time you have another layer and have questions. Okay, blessings. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.
All right. Well, Miss Jeanie, we're ready to do some reading unless there's another hand up there.
There is not a hand up.
Okay, well, let's go to Ancient Wisdom in the book, Why Is This Happening to Me Again? For those who are following along with us, we're on page 57. And we're looking at we're in a conversation with this character named Richard. And we're looking at the power of the Aramaic language in describing how this human energy system works, how the mind works, and how the healing process works. So I've been talking with that about Richard, and we're on to the next thought with him, and I offered him the thought. The level of comprehension of human function reflected in Aramaic is unknown in the West, and what today is thought of as religion was simply guidance for daily living. It taught people how to best handle their family lives, relationships, sexuality, business, taxes, legal matters, land, crops, inheritance, and finances. Unfortunately, its advice has been, for the most part, ignored and thought of as antiquated by the quote-unquote modern mind. It has a thought structure so radically different from what most of us have been taught that when first confronted, it shocks the Western mind. So, and one of my favorite kind of tongue-in-cheek lines is, if Yeshua sat in most religious ceremonies and services today, he would say, that's all Greek to me. That's so foreign to me. You know, this intimidation in the name of God, this fear-mongering, this, fear of God. You listen to Yeshua, and there's at least, I think, 15, if I remember correctly, 15 or 16 times he says, fear not. But we have preachers stand up there saying, fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. It's like, Hello? Have you been listening to the guy that you say you're representing? I don't think so. So Greek thought has by and large supplanted the Eastern Aramaic thought structure that is so powerful and so profound that it's beyond anything that you see in Western thought. So what Richard responds with when I offer him that thought, he says, still sounds like a religious spiel to me. And I offered him the thought, can you let go of the conversation in your head long enough to hear that there may be more to the scriptures than your idea of religion? Investigate genuine spiritual teachings, and you will find they're about life. They deserve serious consideration. In truth, they are simply an owner's manual for your life, relationships, and body. Okay, he says, you've got my curiosity. What you said so far makes sense, so I'll listen, came Richard's wary reply. So we're starting to make some inroads. We're on chapter 9 or 10 here. We're starting to make some inroads into Richard's mind and his BS, his belief systems, especially about religion. And it's kind of sad that anything that even smacks of religion, and in a sense, I can understand why, because there's been, in the Greek interpretation of the teachings of Yeshua, there is so much abuse and manipulation that's happened. And so we're here to move people off of that abuse, intimidation, and it's insanity. So we're here to support people getting free of that insanity and realizing what's really there. And when you get to it, the description of how the mind works, the way to access the unconscious. There was a psychologist in one of our workshops, probably a couple of years ago now, and she spouted out at one point as I'm talking about it, she's like, we don't have anything that even approximates this. When the world of psychology gets up with this, it's going to be seen as genius. And it is. I mean, it really gets to the root of exactly how this human mind and this human energy system functions. And what we're here to do is to restore each and every being on the planet to the awareness of their human lives. And to recognize that your human life is active, present love. And all the rest of it's a lie that needs to be removed. And the removal tool in Aramaic was called forgiveness. And the Greeks turned that one backward into, well, just let them off the hook for what's happening in you. And, of course, if I let you off the hook for what's happening inside of me, I haven't changed one iota of what's happening inside of me. And if I never change what's happening inside of me, I get to live the title of my book. Why is this happening to me again? And so we're here to change that dynamic. And delighted that you're here to add your ears to the conversation. We've got about 20 minutes left to open the space for conversation. If you've got a question, if you're on one of those stations where we can't see you, our call-in number is 563-999-3581. If you call that number, you'll be listening to the show. And if you have a question, when you push 1 on your dial pad when you've called into the number, then we'll be having a conversation. Ms. Jeanie, do we have anybody with a hand up in the phone queue or anything happening in the chat room or anything that you want to share?
Nobody has a hand up and no questions in the chat room. I'll share a little bit. I had mentioned, those who were listening last week know that it was kind of a particularly challenging week with different issues. Anyway, then Michael breathed me on Saturday, and we had mentioned that that was in the plan. So going back to when you first came back up from Florida, and you breathed me, and I was given that I would expand in 5 measures. And this week, with all the challenges, I was told that my 4th measure was about being safe, and that it was safe to remember mentally and emotionally, and to remember in my body, because there's been a lot of times in my life that I've kind of left my body, and but the body remembers all the the things that it goes through, and that I wanted to move from survival to thriving, and that it was safe to let go of coping mechanisms and to feel what was real. Breath session, I felt what was real. It was amazing. There were a few moments that I touched into thoughts that I held about myself, lies and beliefs about me personally and about my body. And there were a couple of times I touched into seeing things differently about mine and my mom's relationship. But physically was the biggest eye-opener. And it started out, it's like I didn't even have words to hardly explain what was going on. But I felt like I was a total open channel. I mean, like air was just flowing completely through me, like I was breathing from my feet to my head. And I think I even mentioned to you, I felt like I was one of those loofahs that had tubes or tunnels going through it, and that the air was just going completely through me. And then my body began to feel like I was a caterpillar, and I was turning into a chrysalis. And then there was like this whirlpool that pulled me out of the space and into somewhere else. And then I could see this blue web around me, sort of like in the Matrix. And I could push against the web, and it moved. It wasn't solid or anything. And my arms and my hands, they began to vibrate with energy, and my fingertips. I said that the only thing I could think of is like a little frog that has suction cups on the ends of its toes or whatever. But blue and red and yellow and white splashes of like electricity. It's kind of like those globes, the energy globes at the science fairs, where if you touch the outside of the globe, it's like all that electricity or whatever kind of zips up to your fingers where you're touching. And I felt like that's what it was doing. And I could look around. I was not solid at all. And I just felt like I was just pure energy, and mostly air and a lot of electricity and energy. And I felt like, I could go anywhere. I could see anyone. And it was just like pure love flowing through me. And I really wanted to stay there. But it was an awesome experience, and realizing what real safety is, and that we are so much more than the limitations that we put on ourselves, especially physically. But it was just amazing, and thank you for your support and for taking me through that.
It was powerful. It was one of the sweetest still point sessions I've ever facilitated, and when you completed, I felt like I was in it. So the energy was moving for me as well. It was powerful. Powerful and sweet. Opening kind of on the next level to, and as you were describing, when you were in the session, you were describing and repeatedly the words that Paul used, where he says, whether in the body or not, I knew not, for I saw things which I could not utter. And, having had several openings like that over the decades, I can sure identify with, there aren't any words. You can't describe this. The scriptures talk about the mind of man has not yet conceived what lies in store. We've settled into this 9-bit mind and the perceptions that it creates, and we think that's the world that's out there, and we have no idea that 9-bit mind and its perception is nothing but a reflection of the content of our own energy system. And as we let go, we can touch into deeper and deeper and deeper layers that go so far beyond normal perception that, normal perception becomes a joke. When you put it all together, the forgiveness, the breath, the willingness, spending time, and, you've been spending a lot of time, more so recently, just really keying into the active presence of love. And that's such an important part of the process. Something both of us have been doing more of. So, pretty awesome. Pretty sweet.
For sure.
And so if you're out there in Listener Land, go ahead, sweet.
I was just going to say, and then we had the pleasure of having this little sweet presence overnight. So she's just over here playing quietly.
We are blessed. She has brought such a profound new level of love into our space. It's been amazing. So thank you, Ari Rain. So we're down to about 12 or so minutes. If you're out there in listener land, we've got time for one or two more good conversations. What's on your mind? How can we support you? If you're on one of those shows where we can't see you, our call-in number is 563-999-3581. Call that number. You'll be listening to the show on your phone. And then, if you push 1, through the magic of technology, a hand goes up in the phone queue, and Jeanie will introduce you by your area code. We are deeply appreciative of having this technology available that, within minutes after we complete this show, there's an archive available. You can go to our website, whyagain.org, and if you click the microphone button on the home page, it will take you to a series of links. You'll drill down to today's date, and when this show's over, you'll have a copy of it. Or you can create a link, you just copy a link out of it, or you can download it to your phone or your computer and listen to it anytime you want. And I don't know, have we calculated, Jeanie, lately how many thousands of hours there are in the archives now? I don't know if we've done that, but I know it's more than 3,000. So there's
I'm not sure.
so much information.
Bob asked in the chat room, why do people rant?
Why do people rant? My offering would be people rant because there's an energy locked into the brain cells that are related to the rant that want expression. And when they're triggered into activity, they will tend to take over. And when they take over, what was at the root, the thought disorders at the root of it will tend to reflect as the words we speak. And so if one applies forgiveness in the arena where there's a rant to be done, tend to remove the hostility and fear-based content around that rant, and they'll probably get more sane around whatever that is and be able to do some healing in regard to that rather than just rant and rave and rage. So that would be my take on why people rant. There's an excess of energy in the brain cells, and that energy wants expression. And it's going to be expressed one way or the other. Now, if I decide to breathe and utilize forgiveness, I can express it via release, where it opens my physiology and I get to alleviate myself of that excessively impacted disintegrative energy. So I get to process it out. The average person rants and they say, I feel better. But they haven't done anything to change the root of the energetic pattern that created the rant. So they may blow off steam, for a little while, but then, a month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months later, they got to blow off steam again, and they have to blow off steam again. And so they end up living the title of my book, Why Is This Happening to Me Again? Apply forgiveness, and you take apart and remove the energetic patterns that end up being the rant that we do. Or, it can go in 1,000 directions. It can become the abuse towards someone. It can become the abuse toward ourselves. And as you apply forgiveness, it's like each time you forgive, you shave off a little more of that energetic impetus to rant. You shave off a little more, you shave off a little more until it just dissipates and disappears. And you resolve whatever it is that's at the root of that situation. So that's where we want to go with this work, is into that state.
So I think you've answered his second question, is ranting healthy? It gives them temporary relief, but it doesn't heal.
Correct. Yeah,
and we do have
if the rant is in the arena of hostility or fear, then intensifying the energy of hostility or fear is going to be destructive to physiology. We suggest move over into the realm of forgiveness, and then that same energy that one dissipates by ranting and intensifies the presence of that energy, therefore the damage being done by that disintegrative energy, the same energy can just be drained off in the presence of love, removed, and one becomes freed of it, literally forgiving it, removing that energy. So I would say, is a rant healthy? Well, it can temporarily blow off steam. But is it going to produce healing? No. No, better to move in the direction of healing tools. And you got a caller, sweetie?
We do. It's area code 541. You are on the air. Hello, Julie here from Oregon.
Hey there, young lady. Welcome.
I'm feeling so much better. Thank you for your support Friday.
You got it.
And I did. I got so much support. People reached out to me and informed me on things that I didn't know, but in such a consolidated manner that it was just very potently supportive with regard to the COVID vaccine information and all,
right.
Because there's so much to sift through and sort out as, is it true or is it not true, basically.
Right.
So
a lot of disinformation around.
Going through all of that just really opened up, where I was really aiming for myself was to get back to the truth of myself, remove the barriers to love's presence, remove blockage of truth, and just realize, at least in this moment, two things. I called first to say how much I just stood up and breathed and felt everything Jeanie was saying about her experience. It just really reached me. So thank you, and
Sweet.
both for the breathing work that you've done together, and just was part of the resonance that reminded me that I really am feeling confident about the truth that I'm responsible for every bit of my reality and my experience, and so much fear now has left me from what I sounded like on Friday, which that was real then. I had to move through it. So that's
right.
The truth about me too, and that's the truth that I was asking you for too, the support in the truth. So thank you, and I'm breathing, and my friend was getting his vaccination Friday, so there was not a lot of time to discuss. So I just made determinations within myself that I will make it through this experience, whatever it is. And I will stay alert and in check with myself as to, am I letting myself slip into fear, and, just correct it each step of the way as needed. So I feel pretty good I do feel good about anything ahead of me with regard to all of this.
Sweet.
Yeah. So thanks. I'm looking forward to the rest of our sessions together. It's been a fantastic, intensive. It's been beautiful. I love everyone in it, and just almost I have this total imprint in my brain. When I close my eyes, I have this screen full of beautiful, loving faces, and I have no doubt about any of them. They're just all resonating on the same page with me, and I with them and us, and it's so sweet. Thank you so much for co-creating all this.
Delighted to be on the team, young lady, and glad that you're developing and expanding your listening ears and moving forward. It's awesome.
Mhm. It is. It's really awesome. Yeah. Well, and I still have work to do, worksheets and all kinds of things, but they're good. I'm loving it. So I I know that things will continue to percolate until, I'm done looking at it all. And I welcome it even when I have temporary insanity myself. You know what? I've been reading the Course in Miracles principles right at the beginning. There's the 50 principles. And
right.
There was a year where I did one a week because I figured it was close to a year. And I had been missing a lot of the days in the workbook. So I just set up one principle a week. And it's a really great way to deepen them. And just revisiting their wording now, like everything we've been doing with her that's similar and related to this Course in Miracles, it's so precise. That's what I'm trying to say. It's so precise.
Powerful. Powerful material.
So full of light. Yeah, truth. My throat's getting a little congested. But anyway, yes, I'm going to be moving on, I guess, and see if you might have another caller. But it's great I love Aria Rain also. I love her presence. I feel like kin with her. So
we are so blessed, let me tell you.
Mm-hmm. And I just think
Jeanie,
she really turned that 999 upside down, or she turned the number 666 upside down and made it all beautiful and exciting. And because what a weird phone number, I used to think. Gosh, who wants a number that starts with 999? But it was perfect for Aria to memorize, one of her first utterances in life,
Yep.
Sorry,
that's pretty cool. Doesn't get better than the presence of a little one like that. This morning, Jeanie I was coming upstairs and Jeanie just finished changing her diaper, and she gets up and runs over and says, "Hold," and get a big hug. It's like, it doesn't get better than that.
So she must mean,
all right, young
hold
lady.
me, I'm a space of love. Hold me, I'm a space
there you go.
of love. Yeah.
All right, lots of love and blessings. Take care.
Blessings.
Right. Thanks, everybody, for being with us. Have the best year yet of your eternal life. Blessings. Bye-bye.